Whoa! Boom! Personality turns on right now. Welcome to this week's episode of Ketchup with Domtomato. This week we have a very special guest all the way from LA. Well, originally from Egypt, but it's Flip like Ez. Or wait, no. Flip like Zed. Oh wait, no. I know.
Almost.
Flip like Z.
There it is. There it is.
How are you, G?
I'm good, bro. Chilling, man.
Bringing from that, what is your full name then? If it's Z, is it just Z? It's like just one letter on your
No, it's not one letter. My name is Ziad Zaramba, so that's why everybody just calls
Zaramba.
Yeah, close enough. Honest, pretty good.
Zaramba,
yeah. Ziad Zaramba. So Ziad Zaramba.
Ziad Zaramba. And then what would that be backwards to make it really complicated?
I was like, I don't think we have that much time, to be honest.
Aboromaz. Diaz.
Yes, there we go.
Diaz.
Yeah.
Funky. Yeah, wait with it. And if you could have a superpower, Zed, what would it be?
If I could have a superpower?
Yeah.
Probably teleportation. I've thought about this many times.
Mm-hmm. That's the same as Ed Scott gave. Why would you choose teleportation over other powers?
Like flight would be super cool. Obviously, us being, what we do, flight would be really cool. But teleportation would be extremely convenient. We could do so much with that,
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people's answers so far have revolved around like the ideology of being able to attempt something and then not have so few people chose indestructibility because it's like then you can receive the information, not be damaged, and try again. Same with
100%. And say I want to go train with you, right? I can do that anytime, anywhere.
And then go home.
So it would be just extremely convenient, It's a great question, honestly. We've thought about this many, many times.
Yeah, I feel like most parkour athletes have somewhat imagined what their set of things would be and then fantasized about how that would apply to their not only training but everyday life.
What about yours? What would yours be?
Mine would be invulnerability. I think I would just want to be Wolverine. I don't need the claws, but I would take them.
That's fire.
Metal frame would be sick. But it would just mean I could be extremely more gritty than I already get to be.
I was going to say, you're pretty much there. You're pretty much there, bro.
Yeah, it's just always been the appeal, I think, to be super fucking tough.
I think we'd all love to see that too, honestly.
Imagine the things that would happen. It'd be so good. So if anyone's figuring out genetic formulas for that sort of thing, hit me up. Just in the comments below. We can keep it conspicuous. I'll have your people contact my people. We do the experiments on the low.
Low-key.
So if you could show a clip to your younger self, something you've done in your career, it doesn't have to be even if you didn't have a clip of it, even just an achievement or a move or a flip or even an event that you went to and did. If you could show yourself before you started parkour, what would that be?
If I could show myself a clip before I started parkour,
somewhat to either motivate you or show you the range that you can achieve with the work put in or something like that. Something that inspires you, possibilities.
I mean, honestly, you've seen the way I train, I always I feel my way of training is always trying to just push the body to do stuff that hasn't been done, that's just I try to do tricks that haven't been done. So it'd probably be, it would probably be something like that, just to put the idea in my younger self, yo, you could be at this, so it would kind of motivate me to just keep going and work harder. But honestly, I've always had that mindset, so I don't think it would change anything,
No, cool. That's a great answer. Looking back on this year and how the whole year's gone, have you had a good year? Are you happy with the year? If you had to rate it out of 10?
Yeah, honestly, I've had a pretty good year for training, for sure. Starting at the beginning of the year, I wanted to focus more on just parkour strictly, to just get better at basics and moving and jumping and striding and kongs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at my clips from the beginning of the year, it was me trying to just figure out how to jump right. And because I'm usually just flipping and doing stuff like that. So, and I do have big potential in that, which I've definitely seen growth in that from the beginning of the year.
For sure.
And then, And you know, the stigma about Americans, you know, I'm trying to break that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break that.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to be on the side of fighting the flat-footed landings. You can't have that as
Yeah,
the
exactly.
staple.
No American sticks, okay? No American sticks, nothing like that. But yeah, I guess in the beginning of the year, I really wanted to focus on more just parkour and like being able to jump better.
Yeah.
And then obviously getting back to like my hardcore free running and like finishing those like a couple years ago. I've set this list of like extremely hard tricks and I wanted to get it done. And most of them I got done in that same year I said it, but I've had one more that I wanted to do and I finally got it done this year. So
Sick.
man,
That's dope, man. And
yeah.
aside from training, how's your year been like with your personal life and growth and all those sorts of things? Do you feel like you've had a productive year as a whole and in your own stuff as well?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like mental wise, you know, I'm getting more focused on just like kind of looking at the future and just like business wise and stuff like that. And obviously just personal life, you know, like I have a girlfriend now. I got to travel a lot. Yeah, you've seen.
Yeah.
So
It's so cute.
it's definitely more like more mature kind of I could feel the maturity kind of escalating, you know. I'm still young, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
could,
how old are you now for people that don't know?
I'm 23.
23. And that's like a lot of you guys that are in that the risk house there are from like your early 20s. And I think
Yeah.
because I saw you hanging out with Pasha, I already assumed that you were like mid 20s, late 20s, with the way that you guys seem to be not only like so good at the sport, but also you guys seem to have really, like you said, now come into your own for goal setting, achieving, and trying to make a name in the as an industry for the sport, which is something we've been
100%.
focusing on as like a topic point for the podcast as a whole.
Yeah.
But on that, did you get to train, compete, travel any trips this year that were standout to you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Spain trip was amazing. The In
Yeah,
Extremis
Barcelona.
jam, you know, yeah, we got to hang out there. Barcelona was super cool. So we got to go there. I got to, you know, me and you trained a lot and
Yeah,
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, we got to hang out. That was honestly an amazing trip. I got to train with Ellis and Archie also, like had a super cool session with them. And after Barcelona and like just like honestly like also like meeting like some of my idols and like people that I've watched growing up, like Foskey and like the Gup guys and the What guys, you know, like
Yeah,
those are guys I've seen since like I first started the sport and like have looked up to.
exactly.
And like, yeah, definitely like getting to see them and train with them and just like meet them as people, you
It's
know.
crazy,
Like,
right? It's
yeah,
just, it's like because there is this normalization that happens when you've seen them for years and years in videos, and
yeah,
then when you get together, there's sort of like a mutual just level
yeah,
of rapport and understanding straight away because you've almost ironed out those kinks. Is there anyone
yeah.
that you really were drawn to and like felt like you had a really good like bond and connection with?
Yeah, and it's always so crazy to me that like when I meet people like that I've known forever, and if like they come up to me or say something like, "Yo, I love your stuff, man. Like you've been killing it." Like that shit means the world to me. You know, it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? I respect you so much. You know, like you have no
Yeah.
idea. Like I've looked up to you forever and all this. So it's so cool. But like you said, you already feel like you guys have been friends and known each other just because like we've grown up through all these years just seeing each other so much, you know. And I feel like that's something in the free running and like parkour community is like we all feel like we know each other no matter if we've met or not.
Yeah. And it is like I think a crazy experience for your younger self. Like if we're talking about like showing a clip to your younger self. If you could show, you when you started parkour, all the friendships and
Yeah,
like relationships that you would make over the years, and
100%.
yeah, it would I think that in itself would be life-changing to know that the accessibility of the globe is there, but also the tight-knit mentality of the community is something that really stands out.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a favorite month then from your year, maybe it's not parkour related or just in general, you've got to pick one month, favorite one from 2022, what was it?
Um, Honestly, it would probably be August, which is
August.
around that trip because we did do the Barcelona thing, and then I also went to Ibiza after, and that was just like a great month for me. I got to train like and have fun with all like my parkour and free running friends in Barcelona, and then I got to go to Ibiza and just kind of enjoy like a beautiful scenery and just get to like kind of chill out and like meet my like friends that I haven't seen in a while and just like cliff jump and go to like extremely beautiful places and stuff. So I think it would probably August, like end of July to August would be my favorite.
Nice. When you were in Ibiza, was there many spots or was it mainly just like the the beautiful locations, the cliff jumping and the scenery?
Yeah, it was pretty much just honestly like I did not train free running at all for the most part. It was just literally like hanging out and going like beautiful ass places and like doing hikes and just like hanging out with friends and cliff jumping and stuff like that. I also judged the cliff jumping competition over there, which was just like
Right.
unreal.
Yeah,
Which was just like super cool. So
Ryan Bean at that one?
no.
Yeah, I've seen he's been traveling around doing some. That guy is insane. Like,
yeah, Bean's nuts, bro. Nobody's like Bean. He's an insane athlete. So good at so many sports. It's nuts.
Yeah. His proprioception in general, just physical awareness is like, it reminds me in a very different way of like early Pasha, where it was like just like the physical control was just levels ahead. And so there was just a new envelope being pushed that no one thought was possible at the time.
100%. He's nuts, dude. He blows my mind.
Did you do any competition in the cliff diving like yourself, or is there something you've done before?
No, not really. No, I've never really competed in cliff jumping. To be honest, like water scares the shit out of me. Like I'm scared of heights. Like jumping into like I would jump on an airbag from no matter what fucking height, but water for some reason tweaks me out. Like I don't know why.
Well, yeah, you were doing that stuff off the tramp on the top tower to the mega tramp, which to me is like far scarier than water. You're like, I do double flip into back landing to getting flung back out. Like I
flew 30 feet after I landed on my back with the triple, but for some reason, like jumping from really high into water freaks me out, bro. So I'm just
fair. I mean, I'm not nowadays, I'm not a huge fan of swimming or like and the water slap to me almost like I don't like the sting as much as I can take like the bruise or the hit or the thud, because I can dissipate the thud better than I can dissipate the slap.
100%. And we're like so more used to this like getting hit on the ground or falling on the ground that I feel like it's kind of like normalized in our brain. But with water, I've eaten shit a couple of times when I was younger that I think it just freaked me out. And I'm like, this is kind of my max,
This is where I'm comfortable and this is where I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of competition then, did you want to do more free running competitions coming in the future? Is that something you're interested in doing, is competing?
So that's always been a big question from everybody. Everybody always asks me, why do you not compete?
Because you have the workup and the makeup for someone that could compete and do quite well. So it's interesting.
To me personally, I'm like not a big fan of competing because when I was really young, I did gymnastics and I had to fucking compete so much, right? And I've always hated it. I never liked gymnastics. I never liked competing. And it's just like, it puts a lot of stress on me. Yeah, it puts a lot of stress and pressure on me because I always do want to win, like I want to do.
Yeah, you're competitive by nature.
And in gymnastics, everybody's like, they follow a straight line and like all this. But if I fuck up, I'm fucking loud and I smack shit, I'm like upset. My emotions are there, so I never really fit in. But competitions put a lot of pressure on me and stuff. And the reason I like free running is because it's like, I just get to do me, like whatever I want. But in 2023, I will be competing and you will see me. I'm already signed up for one. Nobody knows about it yet. It's gonna go down. It's gonna be really fucking cool. And 2023, I'm looking to come out of that competing box,
Because I think another thing that could be fun, and this is something I've only experienced in the last few years, is the street competitions and the change up in those systems. I think that's where 100%. Personally, somewhere like yourself would thrive, where you don't feel like you're in a competition. It is that like jam mentality, and it's also like having fun with your friends. You're like, oh, he's done something that inspires me, oh, that gave me an idea. And because like you are a natural performer from what I've seen when you're out there, you kind of rise to the occasion of more eyes on you. That's not a pressure situation, that's a fun situation, depending obviously if you're put into you now ZZ Rumba, please step up to the stage. Exactly. But like if we're all just sending stuff, then I feel like that's like the big wall open. I feel like that would have been super fun for someone like you, where it's not pressure, it's just like intense.
I really liked how like Redbull AOM was done this year. Super cool. I like the idea of like 3 different days, and it did kind of feel like you're just like jamming out with your friends, you're just like going out, you're filming, you're doing this. It just felt super natural and super normal. And that's what kind of, when I saw that, and I was like, okay, like if things are going to be done like that, then I am willing to like do that, because that does seem like really fun.
It dissipates the pressure that you were just previously speaking about. Like I think by the time we got to the third combo day on that competition on Redbull Athlete this year, it was like there was still the pressure of the day of one, like the competition, but the way they set it up where it was like you get 3 rounds in your heats together, and I don't know, by the time you'd already stacked the other points, it was pretty clear like who were the front runners and who weren't, which maybe is something to like reconfigure in the future. But the point being, then when we got there, it didn't feel as like that one big event as it did previously. Like, I've got one chance to make it, and then if I get through that one chance, I've got another chance to make it, and it's like be all and end all, which is similar to how it felt when I did ice skating. And I feel like it's gymnastics as well. It's like you practice your set and your routine, and then you get it right. And it's like that's not really how we do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what really stood out to me. I really like the way they split it up this year. It was super cool. It was intriguing.
So we'll see you in some FIG competitions, and
I don't know about that. I don't know about FIG.
Hey man, you could have like a really nice leotard. I think you'd look great in it. I like, it'd have like a USA flag, and
I'm good. You never really see me rolling around, so I don't know.
Yeah. Z connection step Ziromba, right? So you're in Risk House still. You're living with the guys there. What do you guys have kind of planned? Because I do see like, or even if like, what's the new motivation? Because there is a lot more steam coming out of the house again, and there's a lot more like content coming from the individuals who are part of it. So have you guys got something in the mix, or is there like a new motivation for the squad? What's happening with that?
I think everybody just kind of has like a little fire under them right now. We're trying to make a stamp and like just like get up, and make sure we're grinding at all times and doing what we want to do. So it's not really like a total like what do we have planned, but everybody has a fire under them, and we're also we've been working on a film for the last couple months, and that will be coming down in like the middle of 2023. That will be done. It's going to be a lot of athletes that come down into LA and from the like San Francisco, San Diego, LA area, and anybody who comes in from around the country gets kind of a little spot in the film. And it's going to be super cool. So I'm very excited about that. And we're all really excited about that. And it's going to be done really well. Good production. It's going to be super nice.
Nice, man. That's really cool to hear. I mean, I was with you guys when you guys were talking about the early formation of that, and came and shot a few pieces. And I think it's nice having just more community culture content coming from LA itself. We've got a huge competition scene there with what Tempest is doing. We've got like amazing awareness and connections for stunt jobs, but I would say like just from the external, pretty much, and this is funny, since like Jesse LaFleur really stepped away from the like doing this other sport, there is less community culture stuff just coming from LA, and you guys have just got Eric back, so now you have like a huge like he's just so motivated and so fun to be around, and he's such a huge legend in the sport that I think like having people like that who like are just excited about parkour as a whole will really like bring that unity. And this is what you were saying earlier. I think necessarily like when I was coming up as well, I didn't always have people that was working on the team or the same thing. Like you said, I was very much working my own thing, but being around those like-minded individuals who are working on their stuff, do you find that encourages you to work more, and you kind of can bounce off each other with just energy as opposed to necessarily like the direct idea?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like being surrounded with people who want to do the same thing will always motivate you to go up, and you guys will go up together, like just having that energy, like you said, it does make you want to do more, and you just naturally do more. It's not forced or anything. You just feel that energy. So everybody's just kind of going towards the same thing, and it just speeds up the process kind of, Yeah. And like you were saying, like having Eric and stuff and Pasha here, like there's a lot of things that I wouldn't have done without them, like they give me so much like motivation. I trust their say so much that like if I'm iffy on something and they explain to me that I shouldn't be, or like I'm good, this is what's going to go down, I completely trust that, and I just run with it, because they know what they're talking about. They know me really well. I like have all my faith in them. I've known him
The
forever.
trust has
So
been built over the years. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
that wisdom is invaluable. Like,
exactly.
yeah. It's something I think I'm discovering more and more with length in the sport, is that the people who have been practicing consistently for a very long time, regardless of the level of physicality they've achieved, the knowledge they've cultivated in the sport is insurmountable, and it's like invaluable.
100%.
So you're in LA now, but you're originally from Egypt.
Yep.
Do you mind touching on like kind of a backstory of like just coming over to LA and what the difference in like lifestyle was like?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I was born in Egypt. I lived the first 9 years of my life there. Okay, so I was there for 9 years.
Your baby
And,
Z. He's a
yeah,
little
no,
Z.
it was a tiny Z at that. So yeah, and honestly, like it's completely different. Obviously, like it's just completely different. It's North Africa, like vibes and cultures absolutely different. I didn't speak English. Not a lot of people know that and just would never guess that.
I would never have assumed it until we talked about it previously. Like I like your accent is so American as well. Like it's right on the money,
Exactly. So that's the thing. Yeah. So I lived there first 9 years of my life, and really, so when I was 5 years old, I was just always like a super active kid, and I just remember like in our house in Egypt, I was always climbing the walls, and like I would take this mattress off my bed and put it on the ground, climb the wall as high as I could, and jump off. Like that was just like, as 5 years old, that's what I did. Like that's what I wanted to do.
that was his hobby.
Yeah, that was it. Like, climb my wall and then drop down. That was it. I would get my sister involved. She's like 3. I'm like, come on, do this.
You can do it.
My mom was like, all right, you can't be doing this. And that's why she chose to put me in gymnastics, right? So she put me in gymnastics when I was like 5, 6 years old. And I did that. And basically my whole life was school from 7 to 3, and then practice from like 4 to 9. So that was all. Relatable. That was all I did. Come back, do homework till like 2 a.m, go to sleep, school, gymnastics, homework. Like that was it.
But I think as a hyperactive child, you probably needed that sort of structure to excel, because if you didn't have something to do, then that's when potentially like coming into different behaviors or
that didn't bother me when I was so young, obviously, because I'm like such a kid. I'm like cool, but even though like practice is like super harsh over there, and just lifestyle in general is like extremely, like I would wake up, cry to go to school because I know I might get beat, and then I would go to practice knowing that if I fuck up, I'm gonna get beat. I'm like, it's just a lot of stress on a little ass kid, but that was just life. I didn't really think of it as anything different. That's just how it is. And then at 9 years old, we moved to Boston. My dad has always worked overseas, so I would see him like about a month out of the year or something,
Wow.
So he lived in London prior for like 10 years, and then like worked there, and then ended up moving to Boston with his brother. They had the business there, and he was always like trying to get us papers so he could get us out there so we could all be together or whatever. That finally happened when I was like 9 years old. We get out there to Boston, and I fucking don't know English. I mean, I like land. I literally fully remember like landing from the plane and getting in my uncle's car. And this is my least favorite song of all time. And I do remember it. It's the first song I've ever heard. It's fucking Lady Gaga, rah, 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 rah.
Such a good depiction of English.
Dude, and it's just like, and I'm just like looking out the window. I'm like, oh, this is so weird, but so cool. I'm like, whatever. So I get there and I have to go to school. So I go to school. I don't understand shit. All my like mannerisms and things are like very different. So like if like say like the teacher asked a question and I like wanted to answer it, I would stand up to answer my question, because like
that's the protocol you've been raised with.
And everybody's looking at me like, what the fuck is this kid doing? Why is he standing up? And I really, in school, I had like a specific teacher that would take me out when it's like English class or whatever. She would take me out, go to her room. And I honestly owe it all to this teacher because like I like learned English extremely fast. And another thing that made me learn English extremely fast is, so I came to America, had to go to school, and then they put me in gymnastics again. I hated that. I felt like the kids were always like talking about me, like in gymnastics, and like especially because there was older people.
Bullshit that comes.
And like I can't understand the words, but like I could just see it, I could feel it,
Yeah, the energy.
And that like felt really weird to me, and I was just like, I need to fucking learn English. Like I need to know it. So in literally 9 months, I could speak full English. Like that was,
Nice.
I was just like,
that's actually like a very short period of time. Like if you
yeah,
really think about it,
no,
there's like
100%.
less than a year is a very quick
Yeah.
time to learn another language and be confident in it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I learned my English and then I talked shit back. Like I knew you were talking about me this whole time.
Pull it out on them.
Yeah. I was like, everybody's like, oh
English,
shit, like,
motherfucker.
where does this come from? And I waited till I was fully confident, in my English. I was like, fuck you, kid.
I'm coming out.
Yeah. But yeah, and
sick.
obviously, like, so I was in that gymnastics class, and that's when I kind of started seeing parkour. It was like later on, like at like the end of my class, like these kids would come in and I'll start seeing this parkour class, and like the coaches are like young coaches and everybody's having fun and doing all these fun things. And then there's open gym and stuff after. And I'm like, yo, this is sick, So I ended up going to my gymnastics class from 4 to 9 and then staying from 9 to 11 for the open gym. So I could be with those guys, So I started doing that. And like, after like the first time I was like, yo, fuck gymnastics, dude. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah, like one session.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. But my parents have put like so much time and money and like faith into me, like for this thing that it was like, it kind of felt wrong for me to just be like, I'm done, So I like tried to stick it out as much as I could till like, I just couldn't anymore. Cause it was also hard for me to like hang out with friends. Like I was making friends in school and like, obviously like wanted to go out with my friends, wanted to go out with girls and stuff like that. And I had no time, So it was like, fuck, I really don't have a life, And it came to that point where I had to just like sit down with my parents and be like, yo, like I can't do this anymore. This is why. And they're like, okay, you have to like talk to your coach about it. It's like really sad to us, but whatever. Like this is what you want to do. That's what you want to do.
That's really cool of them.
Yeah. So I finally like had the balls to like do that. And then I talked to my coach and it was like, I remember it was like a 2-hour long conversation because he tried to convince me so hard not to let it go. And I was like, yo, like I'm done. Like there's nothing you can do to keep me in this. Like I've been in this feeling for years. Like I didn't want to.
You've checked out.
Yeah. And like you can tell, obviously, like I tell the coach, like you can obviously tell. So like once I let go of that and I like could start free running and just like be myself and I could go out with my friends, it was like the biggest weight lifted off my body. Cause like now I'm not a robot, like I have a life and I can do what I want. So like, that was like the biggest thing to me is like being able to let go of like my whole past and just like kind of do what I want to do. And my parents have always been supportive and like, especially like my mom and my dad, like everybody's just been so supportive of me, like of what I wanted to do, So that's really big.
Do you think like being a high level gymnast and doing, quite rigorous training throughout your childhood gave you the tools that you needed to achieve that in free running? Was that something like you were able
100%.
to translate?
1000%, especially like in the environment that I grew up in, like in Egypt specifically, you fuck up, you get beat, you get turned into a robot,
Yes.
So it's like, I'm not going to mess up, everything I'm going to do is going to be perfect. And also like vigorous conditioning, like Superpowers just made my body really strong as a child, so 100%, like it gave me so much to work with in the future.
And touching on what you said earlier about like when you came out of the sport a little bit and you wanted to do more of those things of like, going out with your friends, going out with girls and regular life stuff. Yeah. I think that is an important thing is like now as an adult, you seem to have quite a healthy balance of those two things where you be productive, you do your work and you have your fun and there's a good thing. But is that like a learned practice? Because I feel like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is the point of like, a lot of the younger athletes don't realize that when you do really want to exceed and be really good, you do kind of need to make some of those sacrifices along the way. But to be healthy in doing that, you need to find a balance. I just want to know if there's any key strategies you found for yourself, which really like kept the passion going, kept the happiness, kept the longevity there.
I think if your passion is there in training and like all you feel is that you want to train, then that's cool. Cause like you could do that if that's what you feel. But it's going to take some time for where you're like, oh, I want to do this a little bit. I want to do that a little bit. And the balance kind of finds itself, as long as you're aware of it, So like there was moments where it's just like, I just want to train. Like, I just want to just be the best I could and da-da-da. But it's also like, yeah, I have friends. I want to hang out with them. So I feel like the balance kind of comes in naturally. It's like always having a good balance in life will make you better in general. It's like doing too much, like doing something too much is never really good, So.
Yeah. You'd say it's
like that even
recipe
balance
for burning out.
Exactly.
Yeah. I definitely found over the years it was for me, I was more obsessive about doing it all the time and let things fall to the wayside. But now that I'm taking a bit more of a step back in pace, it does feel like, yeah, there is a good rhythm you can find between like maximum output and getting the most out of your training while still having the time to live life in general and get those things going. Because
Yeah,
you can get caught in that hole of training. And that's what I guess the
yeah,
biggest thing I want to communicate is to the younger people is like, even if it's just 2 hours of your day that you set aside to actually do like administrative work, emails
yeah,
or communication, even if it's talking to your family, like
yeah.
don't just wake up, train, socialize, go to the pub and then go home and go to bed, because there's a lot more details in the middle. And I don't think that's a big
100%.
issue for a lot of people, but it was something that for me, and it seems like for you growing up
Yeah.
in that industry was like the way of the thing.
100%. And especially if it's something you want to do like for your lifetime and that's just like all you want, you definitely have to find that perfect balance of just doing that, you know? And like,
Yeah.
as you know, like when we get older, like training becomes more mental than really physical, you know?
Yeah, you practice the skills enough and the drilling and the like dialing becomes less of the importance, and it is just scary and getting it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
So working as like I guess an influencer or a professional athlete in LA is quite a different landscape to a lot of places that have that. Do you work with management, or do you find that being self-managed, or have you got an experience with management? What's like your opinions on that front?
I used to have a manager a couple years ago, and it's tough, especially when you're in LA, you know, because like if you're assigned to like a good management, you know, they have a lot of people on the roster, and those people could be like way higher than you, and then their focus is more on that because they'll get a big check out of it, you know,
Yes.
than really you. Then you kind of fall behind. I feel
Hmm.
like kind of finding the perfect person and the right balance. Like for me, it's just like one of my friends, Mike, he runs an agency and we're really close friends, and he has a lot of people on the roster, but I'm very different than who he has on the roster, you know, so I get different jobs than he
That
like would
niche.
normally give out. Exactly.
Hmm.
So I feel like just kind of finding the right person is is like the best thing for that, you know, especially in LA. That's really the hardest part, is like being in LA. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, it when I was there this year, it did seem like it was very different to like the just industry landscape and financial landscape due to what pre-exists there already. But then also, yeah, as you said, there is just thousands of people on these different agency rosters who are all vying for the attention, all vying for jobs, not just to grow their industry, but also to make a living. So it is like a
Yeah,
quite competitive area. And I think there's a
very,
lot of
very,
networking and other things that you actually need to invest your time in as
yeah,
a citizen of the city to kind of afford that. Like sitting at home and hanging out and then just going and doing your jumps isn't going to get you enough. And that's what I think other places maybe need to recognize is like, what's your local community like? What's your city like? What's your area like that? And what do you need to do to kind of cultivate those tools and things? Because you see in the UK, it's a lot more like based in the like collaboration of street art, and like you
yeah,
saw Stora do the stuff with the BMX riders recently. There is like
yeah,
crossover things in that more, I don't know, like homely feel, but that's not
yeah,
as much the case in LA, and I feel like that's not as much the case here in Oz. There's like big events and collaborations of things, but then less, so everyone seems to stick into their fields because that's where we're all still like, we have low population, so really
yeah,
little pockets of things.
yeah.
um Looking into like next year, what would be your goals for like 2023? What's like the, just a few dot points along the way that you want to achieve?
Um, so like I said, I do really want to compete in like a couple of competitions. You know, I
Hmm.
just want to let myself go from that, you know, because I've just been holding myself back from that. So that's kind of like a little bit of growth for me, is to like let myself go and like do that, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely one thing. I've also like I'm really into like clothing and fashion and stuff, and I've worked on like this brand for like years, but every
Hmm.
time before I come to dropping it, I like kind of change my mind because it's not as perfect as I want it to be, you know, because I really care if I'm gonna drop clothes, like I want it to be like what I
and
really like and what I want, you know.
and you are a perfectionist from what I've seen, the way you go about. You're very like articulate and like
Yeah,
self-critical and self-observant in that way, so I can see you getting to almost the process and then being like, I'm not happy with it, see, let's go
yeah,
back to the drawing board.
yeah, no, 100%. So I definitely want to come out with this like clothing brand. I've been working out for a while, you know.
Mhm.
I also I want to make a parkour shoe, and that's something I've been working a lot on with
Cool.
manufacturers and stuff like that. That's like a big thing for me because most parkour shoes are like, you know, are like not good looking, and like, you know, like I like shoes a lot. I have a shit ton of them. So like I really want to make like a nice looking parkour shoe that fits what I like in a shoe, at least, you know?
Yeah.
Because every shoe has things I like, but not all of them have
Like
all of them,
it's
you know?
like the grip and then the comfort of the shoe and the makeup and the design, and then also like the materials used. I had like a very, very blazed thought the other day where I was thinking, like, imagine we were making like Italian leather looking shoes, but then you slide it on and it's like a parkour shoe on the inside, or like like making like a whole range of like parkour shoes, but they look like you like make dunks, but they're like perfect for parkour.
I know,
like,
right? Exactly.
Like,
so that stuff like takes a really long time, but I like I said, I am really in that industry, and I like working on products and stuff like that. So that's something I've been working on with some manufacturers and just like figuring out the right materials and stuff.
That's cool.
And honestly, just kind of continuing like making videos and stuff. I'm back in like just filming a lot of vlogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm back into doing that, and I wanna start challenging myself more. I really like doing Game of Flips, and everybody loves to watch it. So, and I have like a really big idea for an event for it. But before, I want to challenge myself against like all the top athletes in the world, which then going to bring them all together for this like big event that I'm trying to have.
Do like a round robin yourself, and then bring it into collaborate.
Exactly.
That gives your audience.
Yeah, and the big thing, we've talked about this before, the big thing about like parkour athletes and free running athletes is you don't really get to learn much about their personality and how they think or whatever. You just get to see a quick 15-second, 10-second clip, and that's it. You know, you usually don't get to see their face. So these YouTube videos that I make and stuff, it's more on just building the character. You know, you get to learn who this person actually is, you know,
and what their dynamic is.
Exactly. And getting to see kind of how their brain works, because you get to see all their stuff, and then in these long format videos you get to just kind of see their brain out in a long format video, which is really cool to me, and I love watching it myself, you know. So it's that's definitely a big thing, and just kind of get more
almost like people's martial arts styles. You have like the little disciplines of the way they break down the fight science of the flip, and I think also like that's a good thing about your Game of Flip is that the YouTube audience nowadays is looking for something accessible, digestible, and like more entertainment, or like more accessible than like a training video. As much as like myself and a lot of people like hate to be like, I just want to show my like training clips because that's what I care about. There is like an inherent part of the YouTube culture, which is you're providing entertainment. So accepting that is part of your position and enhancing that like you have, and giving it specificity has been a really good marker for your YouTube. And I think that's something I'd probably like to advise to anybody who's making their channels is it's great to make parkour vlogs, and we all wish we could be Stora, myself included. Of course. But there is a great way to actually market yourself and go about it with indifference that doesn't change how you train and who you are and what you do. It's just you're literally just putting specificity and direction on your on your videos.
And a big thing for me is, you know, like you could always kind of just like sell out and like do whatever the people want to see, and just like, you know, what's gonna, like, once you've done it for so long, you know what's going to make money, but it's not something that you really want to do. That's like a big thing to me, is kind of staying to my core. And it's bad because I really just like, I could just be like, fuck it, and just make these videos and make a shit ton of money and be able to train and have fun and shit. But I really do care about what the youth sees, because that's like the next generation of us. So so
what you create now is their inspiration and their motivation for their
and like I hate that I'm a person that people look up to, because I don't see myself as that, you know, but I am in that position. So like if I am in that position forcibly, like I'm gonna make sure you guys grow up on the right things, you know, like and that puts you in like a good position to be the next generation of parkour free running athletes, you know, like this is how we are. This is the true like culture of PK and free running.
Nature of the people.
Exactly. You know, so that's something I really pride myself on, and like we'll never switch up on, you know.
100%. So currently training and shooting all these things, is your body healthy? You were because I know you had a back problem earlier on.
Yeah, I had a weird back problem. Literally happened out of nowhere. Like I was on FaceTime and then like I was like, oh, and then I couldn't move. And then I couldn't train for like 3 weeks. Yeah, and I was like, oh, that was terrible. So yeah, that happened, but I'm good now. And then I literally pulled my quad for a week kicking a football. Like I kicked a foot.
You should avoid all other things. Like between sessions, you should just lay on a stretcher and be.
I know, literally, like that's it.
Grapes.
I was like, yo, that's crazy. I kicked a football once and I pulled my quad for a week and I couldn't train. Man. Yeah, it sucks. So in between my back and my quad, I got to have 2 sessions, and I was like, oh, this sucks. But now I'm all good. I'm training.
How regularly would you train normally? Say like per week, how many sessions would you say you get?
Maybe like, it honestly depends because like, as you know, like we have Tempest like really close by. Tempest is 10 minutes away. Yeah. So I try to go to, in LA, we have the like Los Angeles Parkour community on Instagram. And that's a Saturday session. Every Saturday there's like a session somewhere and there's like a schedule. So I tried my best to like go out to those. And Tempest, I probably go like maybe 3 times a week or something like that.
Okay.
Sometimes
so yeah, like
more,
a 3-4 times
ish
per week. Yeah, like not everyday training, but yeah.
No, definitely not. Good. Especially now, I try to kind of like slow down and like train kind of more sport than a lot, like that's really what it is. I just like there's things I want to like get better at, like if I want to get better at connections and stuff, then like okay, like that's kind of like light training. It's not like super hard. And then there's obviously the really hard tricks that I want to do, and take outside. And I only really train in the gym to take things outside. So it's kind of like
kind of skill hack.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, great, man. I think that's a fantastic place to wrap up for this week. It's been brilliant talking to you. I think that offered so much insight for younger athletes who really want to create their own kind of image and create their own YouTube brand or even clothing brand. That's given them great framework to work with. So thank you so much for that. And anyone that wants to find Z, you can find him Flip Like Z on Instagram. Or what's Flip Like Z on YouTube, Flip Like Z on Twitter.
Z everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere, baby. Everywhere you find your content, get Flip Like Z.
Flip Like Z, baby.
Next week's guest we're going to be having on. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, so you just have to tune in for that.
I was so excited to hear. I'm like, who is it?
It might be Bagels, but I think there might be someone else in between. I don't want to get it wrong. But yeah, anyway, big love to everyone who's listening. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you soon.
Thank you.